Hi friends, I'm Walker and welcome back to All About Nails, where we talk about vegan and cruelty-free nail polish. Today I am really excited to be finally sitting down to film my kale polish dupes video. Inky is behind me. He's gonna join me today apparently. Usually he stays on the floor, but today he wanted to get up on the desk. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about some dupes for some kale polish shades. I am planning on doing several of these videos, so I am really excited to hear your feedback on this first one. Let me know what you think about format, content, etc. I would love your input so that I can make the next one even better. My goal is to find a dupe for all of the kale polish shades in my collection. I don't know if I will be successful, but I'm going to try real hard. For those of you who are new to my channel, I do have some constraints on the brands that I'm going to be picking from. So I only use vegan and cruelty-free nail polish, which means that you won't see any dupes in these videos from OPI, from Essie, from China Glaze, which are brands that have a wide array of polishes, and so there might be dupes out there that do not fit into kind of the kinds of brands that I'm looking for, in which case you won't see them in my video. So I am just looking for brands that are vegan, that are cruelty-free. Okay, he's going on the floor. I'm also looking for brands that have a little bit of a cleaner formula. I just think that kale polish really set the bar high for clean polishes that were vegan and cruelty-free and just really excellent formulas. And so I do want to try and find polishes that kind of fit those categories as well. And so you might be looking for dupes for a couple reasons. Number one, kale polish is closing. So as of this video, they are still selling polishes, but they have, some sales and a lot of things are sold out. Like almost everything is sold out right now. And so you might be looking for dupes for some shades that you weren't able to pick up. You also might be coming to this video to find a dupe for a shade that you've had in your collection, you want to get a backup of, and so for that reason I'm also looking just at brands that don't really retire colors that often, and so I'm not looking at a lot of the smaller indie brands that kind of change out their core line frequently, because I don't want to put a dupe in this video that 2 weeks from now is going to be sold out anyways and not restocked. So I am trying to look at brands that have a wide array of shades but that don't, discontinue those shades often, so that you can go find those polishes whenever you're looking for a dupe. Awesome, this is going to be a little bit of a long video, but I will put timestamps down below for each of the polishes. The ones that we're going to be looking at today are Mojito, Miss Kensington, Mindy, and St. Clair. All right, the first polish that we're going to be comparing today is this lovely, soft, almost minty green. This is Kale Polish Miss Kensington, and when I look at it, I see a lot of white undertone, but some pretty forward green. And so the polishes that I have that I think are closest are a couple. I have Zoya's Neely. This one in the bottle looks super close. I'm actually going to flip these just so you can see them. But Miss Kensington I think has a little bit more white in it. The one that I think might be the truest dupe is Society Wit I Heart Succulents. In the bottle, this one looks a little bit closer. It has a bit more white in it, just like Miss Kensington does. Neely over here is still looking a little bit green. So I am going to try these two shades in comparison to Miss Kensington, and we'll see which one is the best dupe. Awesome, so I have Miss Kensington on 3 fingers, and I am going to start by taking Zoya's Neely and applying it on my ring finger. All right, so now that I have 2 coats on here, I do think they look really similar for sure. If you're just looking for a nice mint polish and you missed out on Miss Kensington, I do think that Neely is a really great option. I will say these are not exact color dupes. Neely has a little bit more of a yellow green to it, where Miss Kensington is a little bit more white. All right, so next up we're gonna look at I Heart Succulents from Society Wit. All right, so that is 2 coats of I Heart Succulents, and I am going to declare this one a dupe for Miss Kensington. I think they look super, super close under here. It's really hard to tell a difference. All right, so to summarize, Miss Kensington is this lovely, soft, super whited out minty green, and I Heart Succulents from Society Wit is the closest dupe that I have found to this polish, and I would give this one about a 9.5. This one was almost
perfect. It was almost exact. Again, maybe just like a touch different. This one, Zoya's Neely, is probably about an 8.5. It's a little bit too dark and a little bit too green to be an exact dupe, but if you have Neely, it's going to give you a very similar effect to Miss Kensington. Alright, so the next polish that we are looking for a dupe for is the lovely Kale Polish Mindy. And for Mindy, I want to compare this one to a couple from Zoya because I love this wine family. Love, 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 love. And so I want to compare it to one of my favorite Zoyas of all time. This is Rachel. Rachel is a really nice balance of red and purple, just like Mindy. I do think Rachel dries darker than it looks in the bottle, so my gut feeling is that it will be too dark. I also want to compare it to Tony because Tony is a really nice kind of winey raisin cream. And then I also want to compare it to Stacy, which I just have this little mini bottle of, but Stacy is, from what I remember, a really nice kind of between pink, purple, red. It doesn't have too much deepness to it. It might be right exactly where we want it. All right, so we are starting with Tony. I do think that on the nail here, this one's probably about an 8 out of 10, to be honest. The undertone is a little bit wrong. It has a little bit too much kind of purple dustiness. It's not quite as red toned as Mindy is. So this one is nice. It would give you a similar effect as Mindy, but this one is probably an 8 out of 10 because it has a little bit of the wrong undertone here. All right, so here is Zoya's Stacy. Alright, so this is 2 coats of Zoya's Stacy, and I am going to give this one actually a 9.5 on the dupe scale. This one is super duper close. Super duper. Okay, this one is super close to Mindy. I think if you had to push me for a difference, I would say that Stacy's kind of hard to apply, and if it doesn't get applied evenly, the kind of patchy spots look a little bit more red. But when you build it up in 2 nice coats, I do see them super close, and so I'm going to call this one a 9.5. I would call this one a super duper dupe. Alright, so last up is one of my favorite Zoyas ever. This is Rachel. Alright, so Zoya's Rachel, I am gonna give about a 7. It is too dark. Alright, so let's summarize. Mindy is lovely, it is pink, it is purple, it is wine, it is raisin, it's gorgeous. Tony is a little bit too dusty and too purple. Kind of close. I think if you don't have Tony and you like colors in this spectrum, this is a really good polish, but probably closer to about a 7 on the dupe scale. Pretty different. Rachel is lovely. Obviously, I love this polish. I don't need to say it again. This one, though, is a little bit darker than Mindy. Stacy, on the other hand, is my 9.5. This one is super close. The only issue with this one, again, is that formula. It's not perfect, but I like this one. If you're careful with your application, you will get something that resembles Mindy almost perfectly. The next polish that we're looking at to find a dupe of is Kale Polish St. Clair, and this is one of my all-time favorite polishes from Kale Polish. So this was one of the first ones that I wanted to find a dupe for once I heard that Kale Polish was closing. And this one is a really interesting shade because it looks at first glance just kind of like a light blue polish, but it really is a periwinkle. It has a lot of purple in it. And so I found a couple polishes that I thought looked similar. Again, these actually came from some inspiration, so I will link all of the sources that I got inspiration from in the description box. This is London Town Lacquer's Amalfi Coast, and Amalfi Coast was listed as a dupe on the Polish Pursuit blog, and I grabbed it because it looked pretty close on the blog, and in the bottle they do look pretty close, although Amalfi Coast looks maybe a smidge darker and a smidge more bluely pigmented, whereas St. Clair is a little bit whiter, a little bit lighter. And so I thought these two might be close, but I wanted to have some other reference points as well. And then I found Define Inspire Laguna Beach, and I actually walked by this in Target one day and thought, oh, that's probably a dupe for St. Clair. But you might be able to see here it has a little bit of a shimmer to it. Yeah, there it is. And so I passed on it, and then I have to say I saw a swatch of this polish on the Polished Queen, and I will link her Instagram down below. She is awesome. I love her feed, and she's such a wonderful, positive influence in the nail community. And she posted a swatch of this polish, and you kind of can't see the shimmer in there when it comes on the nail, and so I think it might be a close dupe for St. Clair. So let's dive in and see how these compare. All right, friends, I'm gonna start with Amalfi Love. I may have called it Amalfi Coast. It's Amalfi Love by London Town Lacquer. These are so close, and I do see a little bit less white in my ring finger. It's a little bit darker, like, oh gosh, just the smallest smidge darker. It is a super good dupe for St. Clair. I'm gonna give this one like a 9 out of 10 on the dupe scale. It's really close, but it's not perfect. If you happen to own Amalfi Love, I would say, you know, these are pretty darn close. And I think the only reason I'm being extra hard on this one is, again, because I love St. Clair, and what I love about it is how white and ethereal and floaty and lovely it is. And so I do think Amalfi Love is missing just like the smallest hair of that whiteness. And so that's why I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10. So here is the first coat of that Defy and Inspire polish. So I do think that this one is almost identical. I'm gonna give this one I think I would give this one a 10 out of 10 for being a dupe for St. Clair, with the exception of that shimmer. That shimmer is gonna bring it down to a 9.5 just because it's not perfect. You can't see very much shimmer on the nail, but it is there. You can see a little bit. Amalfi Love was also a super great option, but if I were looking for one of these two, I would get the 750 Defy and Inspire polish from Target. Again, this one is called Laguna Beach. Next up we have Kale Polish Mojito. This is going to be the last comparison for this video, and Mojito is this really pretty, I think, racing green color. Racing green to me is like green with a little bit of blue, but it's kind of a flat green. I don't know if that makes sense. It's not super bright, it's not super dark. I really like it as a color, and I'm excited to see if I have any dupes. The one that came to mind first for me in my collection is definitely Zoya's Wyatt. In the bottle, these look super close. I really like them as dupes. I do think that maybe Mojito looks a little bit lighter, but we shall see. I also think that this Society Whip polish, this is Topiary, looks like it could be a nice dupe. So I am coming in for the first coat of Wyatt. Okay, so this is 2 coats of Wyatt dried down, and I am gonna rate this one about an 8 because I do actually think it is a touch darker than Mojito, which makes it a little bit less summery, a little bit less bright. I enjoy wearing it, but I do think you can tell a difference between my Mojito fingers and my Wyatt finger. So I'm gonna rate this one an 8. It's a really nice polish, but not an exact dupe. The next polish that we're gonna look at for comparison is Society Whip Topiary. Alright, so there's 2 coats of Topiary, and this one is closer than I thought it was going to be. It is a little bit lighter than Mojito, just a little bit. So I would rate Wyatt about an 8 because it was a little bit darker, and I'm gonna rate Topiary about a 9, maybe an 8.75. It is really close, and I can only tell when I stare directly at my hands that this one is a little bit lighter. So I really liked Topiary. I think they're both pretty close, and Topiary is a little bit closer in my opinion.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you learned something in this video. Again, like I said, I want to do more of these in this series. I have several more polishes that I'm ready to share some dupes of. So give me your feedback on the content of this video, of the format of this video. Let me know what you want to see more of, less of. I would love to hear from you. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me and chatting about nail polish for a few minutes. I can't wait until we get to sit down and do it again. Bye.